Biomed, Nexus, daily updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR Capricor's August 22nd. PDUFA target action date for Duramycel passed with no public FDA action and no company statement. The most recent Capricor release remains its August 13th second quarter report. Chaos Capital published a letter on August 21st demanding board changes at Capricor, including 2 independent director nominees, an M&A and Strategic Alternatives Committee, and a formal cash preservation plan. The FDA issued Xspray Pharma a 3rd complete response letter for Daisinoc on August 19th, citing manufacturing observations at contract manufacturer Pharma. Per Fierce Pharma, no clinical, bioequivalence or stability concerns were raised. Representatives John Moulinar and Ben Klein asked Acting FDA Commissioner Kyle Diamantis to exclude Chinese clinical data from drug applications unless the agency has inspected the trial site within the previous 12 months. Werewolf Therapeutics will become Ambros Therapeutics in an all-stock reverse merger with a $150 million private placement co-led by RA Capital and Janus Henderson. Werewolf holders keep about 8%. Arbutus Biopharma launched a modified Dutch auction tender offer for up to $230 million of its stock at $5 to $5.75, funded from its Moderna settlement proceeds. Executive Takeaway Monday's new through line is the empty date. On August 17th, we wrote that Capricor's deferral was not an approval signal, but a repricing from near certain no to open question. Saturday tested that. The date arrived and nothing came. No approval, no rejection, no notice. Note what the market did with the silence. Kappa fell 21% between Wednesday and Friday per market data. If investors read an unannounced clock reset as good news, the stock goes the other way. They did not, because from outside an administrative extension and a problem look exactly alike. That is the frame for the week. A date on a catalyst calendar is a forecast of when someone intends to act, not a commitment that they will, and this industry prices the two as though they were the same thing. Xspray is 3 rejections deep with no date at all. Amylyx was to close a $500 million offering on or about Friday and has said nothing. The agency making these calls has no date for its own nominees' hearing. We will count them on Friday. Read full analysis, rare disease. The date came and the agencies said nothing at all. Capricor's August 22nd target action date for Duramycel passed over the weekend with no approval, no complete response letter, and no extension notice. The company's most recent press release is still the August 13th second quarter report. The extension the market has been assuming was never the FDA's statement. It was Chief Executive Linda Marband's characterization on the earnings call, absent from the written release, with no length disclosed and no agency confirmation anywhere. 2 days earlier, Chaos Capital went public with a demand for board changes, an M&A committee, and a cash preservation plan, arguing that conviction in a lead program is not a license for a board to concentrate all of a company's capital, risk, and future in a single regulatory outcome. Capricor reported $237.9 million in cash at June 30th and has paused its exosome programs pending clarity on Duramycel. Cap closed at $6.29 Friday, down 21% from Wednesday per market data. The most likely explanation for the silence is administrative. The problem is that from outside it is indistinguishable from the other kind. Manufacturing. The FDA rejected Daisinoc a 3rd time, and again, the drug was never the issue. RHHB Xspray Pharma received a complete response letter on August 19th for Daisinoc, its amorphous dasatinib for chronic myeloid leukemia and acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Per Fierce Pharma, the letter cites manufacturing observations at Italian contract manufacturer Pharma and asks for additional commercial-scale batch data. and raises no concerns about clinical data, bioequivalence, or stability. This is the third rejection since 2023, and there is now no action date at all because the timeline belongs to an inspector at a site Xspray does not own. Chief Executive Blake Leach put it exactly that way. The remaining uncertainty is whether Pharma satisfies the agency's observations. Set that against Roche, which said Thursday that Genentech will spend approximately $750 million on a Hillsboro, Oregon plant to assemble injectables and delivery devices, 250 manufacturing jobs, operations from 2031. Owning your own fill-finish line reads less like supply chain hygiene every month and more like regulatory insurance. Policy Congress asked the FDA to stop taking Chinese trial data on trust. Multiple representatives, John Moulinar, who chairs the House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party, and Ben Klein wrote to acting FDA Commissioner Kyle Diamantas asking the agency to exclude clinical data generated in China unless it has inspected the trial site within the previous 12 months, and to publish a risk assessment of American drug development's dependence on that data. The letter was reported August 23rd by Endpoints News and Biospace. It cites 3 deaths in Chinese investigator-initiated trials: Huidegene's HG302 CRISPR therapy in a boy with Duchenne, a brain-directed gene editing trial in a 6-year-old girl at Shanghai Jiaotong University, and Ribox's RXIM002 in a patient with systemic sclerosis. The diligence question we raised on August 19th, whether a licensed asset's human data predates China's Order 818, is now a question 2 members of Congress are asking in writing. Ribox already holds a cleared United States investigational new drug application built on exactly that kind of data. Capital Markets, a Nasdaq listing with cash, now costs about 6% of the company. Howl, Abuse Werewolf. Therapeutics will be absorbed into Ambros Therapeutics in an all-stock reverse merger announced Friday, alongside a $150 million oversubscribed private placement co-led by RA Capital Management and Janus Henderson investors. Werewolf holders keep roughly 8%. Ambros holders take 71%, 7% and the placement 21%, 5%. The lead asset is neridronate for complex regional pain syndrome type 1, already approved in Italy, with phase 3 data in 2028. Put it beside Sky keeping 5%, 38% of Fibrex on August 14th, and Fulcrum keeping 5%, 0% of Slate on August 17, and the rate card is hard to miss. 3 deals in 8 days, all clearing between 5 and 7%. Howl doubled on the news per market data. The inverse arrived the same afternoon. Arbutus is offering to buy back up to $230 million of its own stock at $5, equals to $5.75, with money from its Moderna settlement, deciding the marginal dollar is worth more to holders than to the pipeline. Obesity. The Wegovy pill hit a new weekly high, while Foundayo slipped for the first time in 6 weeks. NVO Chi-L-Yikvia data cited by Citi analysts puts the Wegovy pill above 17,600 weekly United States prescriptions, its highest since the January launch, and 35% of all Wegovy scripts, up from 33%. Lilly's Foundayo fell to 36620 from 38928. Ending 5 straight weeks of growth. These are analyst-compiled figures rather than company-reported ones, and 1 week is noise rather than a trend. The more interesting move is that Novo has begun enrolling Oasis 5, a phase 3 testing 2 lower maintenance doses of oral Wegovy in obesity and overweight. The doses are undisclosed. Oral semaglutide carries a thinner gross margin than the injectable, and a lower effective dose addresses tolerability and unit economics at the same time, which is precisely the ground where Lilly's small molecule has the structural advantage. Our standing call holds. Novo can win quarters on brand and efficacy, and the cost curve still favors Lilly. Quick hits. Aurinia settled its patent case with Teva, no generic Lupkinis before December 7, 2036, against patents running to December 2037. AUPH Boehringer Ingelheim placed a Phase 1 study of BI 331185 on voluntary enrollment hold to evaluate a safety event, per Fierce Biotech. Neither the event nor the molecule's mechanism was disclosed. Amylyx has still not announced the closing of its $500, $2 million offering, which was expected on or about Friday, nor any exercise of the underwriter's option. AMLX, still no Senate help hearing date for FDA Commissioner nominee Heidi Overton. 5 days after the nomination, every fourth quarter decision stays with the acting structure. Endpoints, Biospace and CBS now all identify Kyle Diamantas as acting FDA Commissioner, resolving a naming conflict we have been flagging since August the 6th. In today's full analysis, be sure to read the full article for all the details, including the full Capricor chronology from the March PDUFA notice to Saturday's silence, with what is verified and what is only company-stated, the Xspray rejection table. 3 complete response letters, 3 stated bases, 0 clinical concerns. What Fibrex, Slate, and Ambros each paid for a Nasdaq listing, side by side. A scorecard of every dated event last week, and whether it actually produced a decision, read the full breakdown. The week in review. Monday, the binary ledger through line was set. Capricor's deferral opened column 1, and the revived Celgene CVR opened column 2. Tuesday, iPoint's Lugano miss and its post-hoc rescue attempt. AstraZeneca absorbed 1 loss and 2 wins in a single day. Slate and Fulcrum filled column 5. Wednesday, the Overton nomination went formal. Amylyx's avexitide cut hypoglycemic events 55%. Biomarin and Elio priced the certainty curve. Thursday, Merck and Moderna won the year's biggest binary and disclosed no number. The DC Circuit handed Teva a live remand. Roche committed $750 million to Oregon. Friday, Amylyx priced $500, $2 million with no discount worth the name. Jengli-Coes and Passatru were approved. Amgen returned its TSCAN binary. Chaos Capital went public at Capricor. Werewolf became a listing. Saturday, Capricor's PDUFA date passed unanswered. Biomed, Nexus. Pro-In, today's pro-brief. The empty date. 4 scheduled events came due in 5 days and only 2 produced a decision, plus the 1 rule that separates a date you can trust from one you cannot reading. Capricor's silence, the 2 possible explanations for an unanswered PDUFA date, which one the tape chose, and the single filing that would settle it this week. The listing rate card, 3 reverse mergers in 8 days, all clearing within 180 basis points, what that price is, and the company doing the exact opposite, with $230 million, plus the full Catalyst calendar, updated for the Capricor weekend, the Arbutus tender window, and the Ambros close upgrade to unlock institutional analysis, a new week and a new through line, the empty date. We are counting how many of this week's scheduled events actually produce a decision, and Friday we publish the ratio. What are you watching? Reply to this email. Read, full article sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing. New Biomed Nexus signals. Weekly sales intelligence for life sciences BD teams. Learn more. Earn